Hello, friends. Welcome to the Tales of Mahabharata by Banyan Tree Stories. 18 years later, Kunti and Pandu's sons returned to Hastinapur with some sages. The Pandavas were visiting their homeland for the first time, so before entering the borders of Hastinapur, they bathed in the holy Ganges. After reaching the gate, on Yudhishthir's signal, Bhim knocked on the main door. Seeing Bhim, the gatekeeper alerts everyone for a moment. But then he realizes it's not an army, but a group of sages and children, and he opens the gate. The sage tells the gatekeeper, almost in a commanding tone, "Go tell Bhishma that he should come himself to welcome the guests." The gatekeeper stares at the sage for a moment, but seeing the radiance emanating from the sage's head, he sends the message to Bhishma. When Bhishma receives the message, he understands that Pandu and his sons have returned from the forest. He forwards this message to everyone from Gandhari to Mother Satyavati. The entire kingdom comes with the whole family to welcome the Pandavas. All eyes fixed on Kunti, who is dressed as a widow, and Pandu is not visible to anyone. However, seeing the 5 young men with her, questions arise among the people of the kingdom. The sage then says in a thunderous voice, "You all know that after the curse of Kindava Muni, Pandu lived with us in the forest. In the forest, Pandu was blessed with 5 sons." Pointing towards Yudhishthir, he says, "This is Yudhishthir, the eldest son of Pandu, who is a part of Dharmdev." In this way, he introduces all the 5 Pandavas to the family and the entire kingdom. Unable to contain his curiosity, Bhishma asks about Pandu. The sage says, "A short while ago, due to the curse of Kindav Muni, Pandu passed away, and Madri also became sati with him." Pointing towards the remains of Pandu and Madri, the sage says, "We have brought their remains so that their last rites can be performed with royal rituals." On hearing this, a wave of grief runs. Pandu's mother Ambalika faints. Bhishma couldn't hold back his tears. Dhritarashtra remembers a moment of childhood spent with Pandu, who is not only his brother but also his eyes. Vidura was crying like a small boy. Dhritarashtra, composing himself, gave the order to prepare for the royal rites of Pandu and Madri. The sage silences everyone and boosts their morale. Looking towards Dhritarashtra's son, Suyodhan, he did not see any sign of pain or discomfort in his eyes, which made the sage pause for a moment, and then, giving blessings to all, he went into meditation. Vidur called Maharishi Vyasa for the last rites of Pandu and Madri. Their ashes were then immersed in the Ganges. After the rituals, Vyasa went to meet his mother, and sitting beside her, he said very deeply, "Mother, the days of your palace are over. You have seen your grandchildren and even their children. You have seen their death in front of your eyes. You have seen all the mixtures of life. So, Mother, I would like you to allow me to fulfill my duty as a son and give me the opportunity to serve you." Satyavati very humbly says, "Son, I have no trouble in the royal house. What's there in it? Happiness and sorrow keep coming in life." Vyasa then says, "The mixture of happiness and sorrow is life. Life with only sorrow becomes worse than hell. The coming time is Kali Yuga, which is to start with the Kuru lineage. The direct reason for this is that both pillars of Dharma and Adharma are growing in the Kuru lineage. Where Pandu's sons are a part of the divine, on the other hand, you're very well acquainted with the stars of Dhritarashtra's son." Satyavati did not fully understand Vyasa's words, but since Vyasa was asking her for something for the very first time, she couldn't say no. After this, Satyavati meets Ambalika and Ambika. Ambalika was broken after the death of her son Pandu, so she immediately agreed. On the other hand, When Satyavati speaks to Ambika, she agrees because Ambika had no time left to spend with her son. Her son Dhritarashtra would be busy all day in the work of the royal court and spend the rest of his time with his wife and children. Therefore, Ambika also got ready to go with Satyavati and Ambalika. When Satyavati reaches Bhishma to bid farewell, Bhishma tries to stop her. Satyavati says, "I should say goodbye to the kingdom, according to what I've seen in Vyasa's eyes." Anyway, after a time, Kshatriyas also live like Brahmin, practicing asceticism. Now, I think it's time for me. Bhishma then asks Satyavati what Vyasa said. Satyavati tells Bhishma everything. Upon hearing this, Bhishma is shocked for a moment. He starts to wonder why he's still alive. He should give up his life. He does not want to see the Kuru dynasty fall apart like this. Then an idea came to his mind. He looked towards his mother Satyavati with humility and says, "Mother, when you came into this house, my father had given me a boon that I could call for my death whenever I wanted. I think this is the right time to embrace death." Satyavati stops him and says, "Devrata, I told you before to perform Niyoga with Ambika and Ambalika for the kingdom's sake, and your vow came in between. But today, there's no vow or no religion in between. So take this as my last command, and until you establish dharma, you will not call for your death." Bhishma had no option left but to fulfill his responsibility. Afterwards, Satyavati met Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, Kunti and Vidura and left. In this way, the three queens became ascetics. Just as it was necessary to protect them as demanded by the time, it was also predetermined that in destiny that the establishment of dharma would occur before the onset of Kali Yuga. Everything is destined, but can destiny be changed by our actions? It's something to think about. Do consider it. Friends, hope you liked the video. Stay tuned for the next episode of the Tales of Mahabharata by Banyan Stories. Do not forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel.